I think we've got some good growth opportunities in the next 1 to 5 years. But at the base of it all, as my hierarchy says, is housing.
I'm Cristina Janney with the Hayes Post and Eagle Radio, and I'm speaking with Doug Williams of Grow Hayes about an impressive growth in gross domestic product for Ellis County on this episode of the Post podcast. You presented me last night with an interesting graphic here, and it's a list of the increases in gross domestic product across the state of Kansas, and Ellis County was listed as the head of the pack.
Top of the heap.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah. With a 5% increase in gross domestic product, which was much higher than that for the state of Kansas, which was only 1%.
Right. No, that was it was interesting news, to say the least. This comes from the Center for Economic Development and Business Research from Wichita State University. They're the organization that come out and do our annual economic outlook. They do them across the state, and they analyze all types of business activity and economic activity within the communities. They may do the city of Wichita and the city of Kansas City, city of Topeka, but out here they do basically Northwest Kansas or the individual counties. And so that's where this information comes from.
So how do you think that reflects on our local economy? It seems to me it's a lot better off than we believed it to be. Well,
I think it is. I think I believe we know that things have been good in Ellis County and continue to be. I think if people would turn off the national news and the negative information they get there and just look at locally, for sure, that it would be a very positive perspective. And there's a lot of reasons why that is. I think certainly the construction activity that exists in Ellis County right now, particularly in Hayes, with housing, new schools, new buildings of various sorts. There's a lot of construction activity, a lot of remodeling. But then also I think most of the local businesses are doing pretty well.
Yeah, we've had quite a few, even within the last couple of months, new businesses starting up, gearing up for the new year. And I know a lot of people have talked about the concerns about inflation, but the unemployment rate here in Ellis County remains very low.
It is. It's either 2% or lower than 2%, and that's extremely low. And that's the biggest challenge Ellis County businesses have is workforce. The ability to find a workforce and retain a workforce is a challenge and has resulted in cost of labor going up, which is not necessarily a great situation for the business owner, but it's great for the employees. And in many cases, has allowed them to keep up with some of this inflation activity that we've had. And if you look nationally, it would appear that inflation is trending down and under control. That can change at any moment. But for the moment, it appears to be more in that 2.5–3% range, which is something we can deal with.
What are you looking forward to the new year? What do you think our economy is going to be in 2024?
Well, I think it's going to continue to be very good. We have, I'm sure that 2023 will reflect record level of sales tax collections for the city of Hayes because sales tax continues to climb. That means people are buying things. Stores are doing well. As you noted, there's been, a number of businesses that have opened in the last 60 to 90 days. I can count 4 or 5 restaurants alone that have opened, and we're getting a lot of calls from people who are interested in starting businesses or growing their own business. We'll have the micro factory coming online here in another 60 days or so, and hopefully be able to fill that up with some aspiring business owners doing manufacturing work. The school projects are going to be ongoing for, the next 3 or 4 years probably. And then there are various other projects. Our community center next to Hayes Medical Center will start construction sometime in 2024. So there's a lot of stuff going on in the community, and I'm very bullish about what 2024 is going to be.
Well, if you've ever been to a presentation with Doug, you've seen him present that rural needs for the economy pyramid. And I really think that we've made a lot of strides in 2023 on a lot of those platforms. The education with the bond, You've mentioned some of the projects for the housing, childcare, healthcare. A lot of those have really improved here in the last year or so.
They really have. We've made great strides in housing locally. We continue to work on that, and that's in the pyramid of hierarchies. Housing is the base one, and then you start talking about education. People are not going to move into a community or stay in a community where we don't have good schools, and we have always done a great job of teaching kids in our community. But the facilities we've had, we neglected for a long, long time, and of course that was corrected a couple of years ago. The improvements in that area have already started, and it's going to be a great recruiting tool, as is our medical center. Healthcare has some challenges right now, as we talked about last week, with the economics of rural healthcare. But we just have an awful lot going for us in Ellis County, and a lot to be thankful for. But we have to build on that momentum as well.
Okay. Yeah, in terms of education, we're already seeing a little bit of that. Lots of rural school districts around us are losing students and having to cut budgets. But Hays has increased the last couple of years. Not a lot, but, it's different than the decline that a lot of the rural school districts around us are seeing.
It definitely is. Rural America, particularly rural Kansas, faces a lot of challenges, depopulation and an aging population being the biggest probably. And, some small communities are really struggling to maintain a population, to maintain a school district. We see declining enrollments in some of the smaller communities, which is a challenge. So those are challenges for those smaller communities. Hays is in a little bit different situation. We're very well positioned to have some of those people move here where there are jobs and there are better opportunities for educational opportunities for their kids. And as well as the recruitment, we view retirees as a recruiting opportunity for us as well because of the health care, because we're a safe community, some of the quality of life things that we have. We really view retirees as a recruiting opportunity. And so I think we've got some good growth opportunities in the next 1 to 5 years. But at the base of it all, as my hierarchy says, is housing. And that's why we're so active in trying to produce additional housing for the community.
Okay. Doug, is there anything else that you would like to add this morning?
Well, I think one thing I would add is that these quality of life things are critically important, but they're expensive. Things like parks and walking trails and that kind of thing. At the Grove, we plan to extend the multi-use path through the Grove and tie that into the trail that's going to be from Sternberg Museum to 41st Street that the city's going to be putting in this next summer. So that'll give, almost 3 miles of multi-use paths. And if you look at the surveys we've done with Imagine Ellis County, if you look at what people tell us, multi-use paths and outdoor spaces are critically important. And we're also considering a couple things like that at the Grove housing development, maybe trying to not only put in a multi-use path, but also some things like pickleball or outdoor fitness areas, those kind of things, because all of that adds to quality of life, which adds to why people would want to live here. And so they're critical to the community.
Yeah, the ability to go outdoors or indoors at some place like the center or the rec really can contribute to the health and longevity of our population by people staying physically active.
Absolutely. And you tie that into our mission at the Grove is to develop retiree-focused housing, which allows people to age in place. If you live in a house with a lot of steps or inaccessible bathrooms or that type of thing, they're not able to age in place, and consequently you end up in some sort of assisted living or nursing home environment sooner than you would hope to. I mean, I don't think any of us ever hope to get there, but it is a requirement sooner. If we have the right type of living spaces, then you can stay in place longer, and that's what we're seeing across the country is that people are absolutely looking for places where they can age in place and not have to move into a facility. Not that there's anything wrong with these facilities, but they are expensive And it's not the type of independent lifestyle that most people hope to have as long as they can. So that's an area at the Grove we're hoping to really focus on. And all of those things we talked about, the walking trails, the Center for Health Improvement, outdoor spaces, all tie into that.
Okay. Oh, anything else, Doug?
Well, I just make a comment that it's about the first of the year, so Brief Space is open and available for business. If you're trying to, turn over a new leaf and are ready to get out of your basement or out of the house and want a little more appropriate business space, we would invite anybody to come down and take a look. I'm always amazed at how many people come into the facility and say, gosh, I didn't know this was here. And we've been open, I think 4 years, 5 years now, whatever it is. And I thought everybody in the community had been in the facility, but they haven't. And it's a great space. It allows you to have a work environment where you can have access to all the tools, printer, scanner, fax machine, copier, meeting rooms, larger rooms, and then some private spaces, phone booths if you need to make a phone call, that kind of thing. And it is very reasonably priced thanks to the way we were able to construct the facility with a grant from the Hansen Foundation and other participants in it. It's just a great space, and we have kind of a ebb and flow of people who use the facility, so we would invite anybody to come on down and check it out.
That's been a really a great asset to the community. I know that there's been many community events and meetings conducted there in your meeting spaces.
They have been, and we typically try and let not-for-profits use the space at no charge, and so that's a nice benefit for not-for-profits, and I know a number of them do use the space, and we are very fortunate to have a space like that in the community and have an organization like the Hansen Foundation who basically funded that. They don't work out particularly well as a profitable venture, but if you don't have any debt on a facility, it's a whole lot easier to make ends meet, and so it's a great opportunity for people to use that facility, and we invite anybody to come down and check us out.